Hello, everybody, and welcome to Friday Apocryphal Podcast, your one-stop shop for everything Friday Apocryphal and podcast. And boy, do we have a show for you today. Today we are covering Sirach chapters 8 through 11.
Yeah, did it. Bam.
Got it.
Yeah,
so we have some good news.
Good news, everybody.
We finally have received the translation with commentary on Sirach from the Anchor Bible commentary series. There it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Isn't his face beautiful?
Yeah, he looks so good. Yeah, but we finally received it after weeks of waiting.
Jeez, that took a while.
It really did. Real bummer, but you know what? Now we have it. So now we have two translations.
And commentary.
Yeah, we still have this. Yeah, we have extra commentary now. That is true.
All right. This is the Anchor Bible, Wisdom of Ben Sira, a new translation with notes by Patrick W. Scahan. Oh, I hope I didn't mispronounce that.
Probably butchered it.
Yeah. Introduction and commentary by Alexander A.D. Lela.
And I hope you didn't butcher that, although you might have.
I think it's Italian.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And we also have the translation by Osterley, I think. W-O-E Osterley.
Yes,
Yeah.
as well.
That's so wrong.
And this is a very old one, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As well as Eerdman's commentary on the Bible.
Yes, right here, this big, beautiful open book right here. And this other big, beautiful open book right here is the New Interpreter's Bible Commentary.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, I think we can hop right into it. Now, I did peek at the commentary here. It says that this section, that is...
Because we were starting with chapter 8
Yes.
today.
Chapter 8, 1 through 19. They do this. This section, dealing with conduct towards women, friends, and associates, may be divided into 4 stanzas. 11 plus 4 plus 3 plus 3.
Amazing.
Yep.
Although, yeah, the real crazy stuff about women will come up later in the reading. And I was mentioning this to Chris the other day, but when reading over it, I can see why the alphabet of Ben Sira, which was not written by Sirach or really anyone related.
It was a parody.
Probably a parody, yep. And it was written in the 10th century, or 8th to 10th century, CE. And I can see why the name Sirach was attached to it, because some of the views on women are very similar. And we're going to see some of that today. And once we do read the alphabet of Ben Sira, that book is crazy. It is hilarious.
Is it sexist?
Yes, it is.
Of course
Warning,
it's
that
sexist.
book is sexist.
Ooh. Like the entire Bible has.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to place a warning
Good
for everything the
chunk of
Bible
it.
has in it. There's too many things.
Yeah, trigger warning. There's like
For everyone.
infanticide in this
And
book.
slavery. And
Yeah. But anyways, why don't we hop into it then, unless there's something that you want to read about it before we do.
Just that the central theme of the unit, competing against someone with vastly more resources than you have, reminds Ben Sira of some related dangers, and then he goes off to list some of these. Yeah.
Okay. Well then, chapter 8, Prudence in Dealing with Others. Contend not with the great, lest you fall into his power. Quarrel not with the rich, lest he pay out the price of your downfall. For gold has unsettled many, and wealth perverts the character of princes. So we have this same thing that was in Psalms and I mean to a certain degree in Proverbs.
Yeah, definitely.
Right?
But this is kind of playing off of the stuff that we had before in Sirach.
Dispute not with a person of railing speech. Heap no wood upon his fire. Don't feed the trolls.
Yes, actually, I was in fact going to mention that, and I'm glad that you did. So the eternal decree, on feeding the trolls. Yeah, he gets into that a little bit here. Sirach begins this section with warnings against quarreling with the hope of getting greater resources, whether of influence or money. You do not stand a chance of winning. This is even more true if you argue with the loudmouthed. You will only add fuel to their fire. So yeah, don't feed the trolls.
Or feed me. It's fine. I'm up for it. Yummy.
Of course, this is far before the French Revolution, where a bunch of commoners overthrew their wealthy overlords. And before the American Revolution.
Yeah, and a bunch of whole other revolutions.
Yeah.
Look where they got and how much of a plutocracy we have today.
And what's interesting is that this was also shortly before the Maccabean revolts.
Yeah. Be not too familiar with the senseless, lest he show contempt for your forebears. Revile not a repentant sinner. Remember, we are all guilty. Okay. Insult no one when he is old. Some of us, too, will grow old.
Yes, some of us.
Yeah. Not all of us. Some of us will die young.
Yeah.
Brutally. Gloat not when a person dies. Remember, we are all to be gathered in. Spurn not the discourse of the wise.
And that one, the note here is exult not over one that is dead. Remember that we all shall be gathered to our fathers. So we're also going to die.
Right.
That's really against saints there, or martyrdom in general, surprisingly.
Yeah.
Don't revere dying or dead.
And as we know, I mean, just shortly after this, the Maccabean revolt occurs. Revolt, yes. It occurs, and then the Maccabees get a huge statue made for them, right? Which unfortunately no longer exists. But they were definitely exalting their dead.
Yeah, this one doesn't say exalt. This one says exult. The U.
What's that difference there?
Exalt has a U.
Yeah.
No, exalt is...
Well,
Raise
it
above.
can. Like how connection can have an X instead of a CT.
I've never
Unless
seen
it
that.
is a different word. They use it in a lot of British philosophy.
Oh, do they?
There are indeed a large variety of words that are not shared in spelling between English in the United States and English in England.
Yeah, there's also spellings that have changed
Well, yeah, definitely,
pretty
like color
dramatically
and-
over
yeah.
time.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that there are different spellings.
I'm just wondering if it's a different word.
That would be useful to know.
I don't know. Let's
What?
go on.
Okay. Spurn not the discourse of the wise, but busy yourself with their veiled maxims. In this way you will acquire the training to stand in the presence of princes. Reject not the tradition of the elders, which they have learned from their fathers. From it you will obtain the knowledge how to answer when the need arises.
So, yeah, this is kind of, the idea of the old people are wise. Yeah.
Okay, I've looked into it now. Exalt means to glorify or to elevate, while exult means to rejoice.
Ah, okay.
Well, they're similar.
It sounds about the same in function.
Yeah, I could see it being mixed together.
Yeah.
So there is a note here about because this entire section emphasizes tradition, and it's a point that the Pirkei Avot dramatizes. So the Pirkei Avot, it's called or translates to chapters or ethics, or actually I think it is chapters of the fathers, but because its primary goal is ethics, this is sometimes called ethics of the father. So it's rabbinical teachings. So it's Mishnaic, but they're all ethical. So there's no talk of halakha, of Jewish law. And of course, like I didn't find a date for it from the quick Google search I did, but it's definitely pre-10th century CE.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we haven't gotten close.
I would say it's medieval. Yeah.
Well, we haven't gotten close to the 10th century CE
Yeah.
show yet.
I know. But anyways, yeah. So it's a point that the Pirkei Avot dramatizes by imagining a great chain of traditions spanning the generations. In this way, the link between the past and present was assured, as was the accuracy of what was transmitted. The primary source of wisdom is aged people. According to Pirkei Avot 4:26, he who learns from the old, to what is he like? To one who eats ripe grapes and drinks old wine. Similarly, in Pirkei Avot 4:1, the question is asked, who is wise? And answered, he who learns from every man.
All right. Well, also, presumably, the firstborn elders have received the oral transmission of knowledge from their fathers.
They better.
Yep. Which would...
Well, they would have received textual ones, too.
Yeah. But moreover, they have likely received the oral transmission, and that means that the elders are the people that you can receive information about that from, about the Mishnah.
Yeah.
Kindle not the coals of a sinner, lest you be consumed in his flaming fire. Do not give Do not give ground before a scoundrel. It will set him in ambush against you. Lend not to one more powerful than yourself, or when you lend, count it as lost. Go not surety beyond your means. Think any pledge a debt you must pay. So kind of economic justice here.
Yeah.
But not really, because if you lend to someone who's more powerful than you are, you shouldn't expect to get it back.
Really shouldn't.
Yeah. I guess the implication is that they'll just kill you if you ask for it back.
Or it's like, what do they care? They're very powerful. They're not worried about it.
Yep. Contend not at law with a judge, for he will settle it according to his whim. Travel not with the ruthless, lest he weigh you down with calamity. For he will go his own way straight, and through his folly you will perish with him.
Yeah, so that's kind of what they were saying earlier about being consumed in the fire with them.
Right.
Yeah.
And you can't even contend law with a judge.
Yeah.
Well, it's like if he has the ability to make a decision and you start contending him and he was already on the fence, he's going to pick I'm going to choose against you now, basically is what I interpret it as, if given the subjective option.
It's like when you disagree with a teacher and then your parents are like, they're a teacher. They know what they're talking about. Yeah. Show no defiance to the quick-tempered, nor ride him through lonely country, nor ride with him, not ride him, jeez, through lonely country.
That's a different book, Reuben.
That's in Proverbs. Bloodshed is nothing to him, and when there is no one to help you, he will destroy you. Take no counsel with a simpleton, for he cannot keep a confidence. Before a stranger, do nothing that should be kept secret, for you know not what it will engender later on. Open your heart to no one. Banish not your happiness.
So, some talk about secrets there. We'll be getting into that a little bit later, too. However, in verse 18, Ben Sira achieves a striking pun through reversing the consonants of the Hebrew word for stranger, zar, yielding raz, secret. The latter word plays an important role in the War Scroll from Qumran, with its esoteric knowledge and strong emphasis on being initiated into divine knowledge of mysteries that was not available to ordinary citizens. So very Gnostic, or pre-Gnostic, I should say. The word Raz also occurs in the book of Daniel, where a mystery must be unveiled by God's special representative. For Ben Sira, the secrecy implied by Raz had nothing to do with celestial mysteries.
There's also about verse 18. Well, you mentioned the wordplay, right? But this War Scroll from Qumran had some of the terms on it. It says that in composing verse 18b, Ben Sira may have had in mind the tragic experience of Samson, who revealed the secret of his strength to his girlfriend Delilah, who then told all the Philistines and judges.
Damn, yeah, that she was a bitch.
Yep.
And you know what? On top of that, Ben Sira has some stuff to say about women.
Oh yeah, but that is the next chapter.
Yeah, that is the next chapter.
So I believe it's time for you to read and hand me the
yes, you know what?
commentaries.
I will do that. Here's some stuff. And so for the next part, you know how there are usually reflections in the New Interpreter's Bible Commentary. Usually they don't really matter because the reflections are more like how modern day readers should interpret this stuff, but or like what moral they can take away from it. The note that I left in there was just about damage control. I just said the words damage control so we can talk about the author actually trying to do damage control on the text. So it shows you some stuff. So how about we get to this next chapter here. Chapter 9, conduct towards women. This is going to be juicy. Be not jealous of the wife of thy bosom, that she learn not bitterness against thee. So basically, if you're too jealous, you could push them away.
Yes, the wife of your bosom derives from Deuteronomy 13:7 and 28:54. Also Micah 7:5.
Well, thank you for the biblical allusions.
Yep, well, it's the term.
Give not thyself unto a woman, that she lord it not over thee. Apparently, this verse literally means to cause her to tread upon thy high places. So I'm guessing that she just takes over, that she wears the pants.
Yeah,
I guess.
Don't let her rule the relationship.
Yeah, pretty much.
I guess.
Yeah, it's something like that.
Draw not nigh unto a strange woman, lest thou fall by her entanglements. Consort not with a harlot, lest thou be caught in her snares.
I like this translation in the Anchor Bible. Do not dally with a singing girl, lest you be captivated by her charms.
You know, I think that one is probably better. Is there a textual note on verse 3? Because the thing is, in the commentaries I was reading through, they were using stuff like singing, for example.
For the variant after verse 3, check note. Just note. Regarding the fascination with singing girls, 2 Samuel 19:36. For the singing girl as a prostitute, Isaiah 23:15 through 16.
Okay. So yeah, Ben Sira.
Yeah, let me there is a little bit, not quite textual, but commentary. Ben Sira cautions against jealous suspicions on the basis that they might become self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
And he uses an ancient metaphor for dominance, treading on one's back. See also the advice to her son Lemuel by the queen mother in Proverbs 31:3.
You know what? We'll get there.
This entire section reflects the perspective of a male who views women as dangerous seductresses. That was true of all women in Ben Sira's view,
Yeah.
but particularly was the case with dancing women, prostitutes, and partygoers.
Partygoers.
Yep. A gloss on verse 4 reads, "Do not sleep with singing women, lest they burn you with their mouths." The allusion to fire in the context of seduction recalls the extended treatment of passion in Proverbs 6:20 through 35, where a probable pun occurs between fire, S, and woman, Isa. Here, too, the adulterer is threatened with ruin for the cuckolded husband. They called him a cuck.
Whoa.
For the cuckolded husband will have no mercy on the offender. In this text from Proverbs, two images are juxtaposed, that of a cozy lamp guiding one's eyes and that of a burning fire destroying one's very existence. See Job 31:9 and 12. The former is parental teaching, the latter is an adulteress. So the adulteresses lead you towards the fire.
Yeah.
Ooh, not quite the fire and brimstone of modern Christianity, but
A fire nonetheless.
Yeah. Maybe they were talking about the clap.
Maybe.
Ugh.
Well, let's find out. Consort not with a harlot, lest thou be caught in her snares. And apparently this is pretty much the same as the next verse here. Consort not with a female musician, lest thou be taken in her snares. So yeah, pretty much the same thing there. Gaze not on a maiden, lest thou be ensnared in her penalties.
Yeah, entertain no thoughts about a virgin, lest you be enmeshed in damages for her.
What?
That's what the
What
translation
does it
says.
mean?
It means, well,
Ensnared in damages for her. Like, oh, is it like, are we talking about like the payment thing?
if a man seduced a virgin, he was forced to pay her
Yeah.
father a fine of
Yeah.
50 silver
Okay.
shekels and
Yeah.
take her as wife because he deflowered her and could not subsequently divorce her. According to Deuteronomy 22:29, Exodus 22:15 through 16.
Yep. That's classic. Give not thyself to a harlot, lest thou lose thine inheritance. You could lose your money. She could be a gold digger. Look not around in the streets of the city, and wander not in the broad places thereof. Turn away thine eye from a beautiful woman, and gaze not upon beauty that belongeth not to thee. That doesn't belong to you.
You can't look at anybody who looks nice.
You know,
Because they don't belong to you.
and
That's why.
a lot of churches and some Jewish temples like still segregate by sex.
Yeah, that is true. What's the more modern translation from
For verse 8,
yes.
avert your eyes from a comely woman, gaze not upon beauty that is not for you.
Okay. Wow. By the beauty of woman, many have been ruined, for thus passion kindleth like a fire. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
Tis that
it's,
meme.
It's like that jazz song that's in Fallout. It's a sin to tell a lie. Be sure it's true when you say I love you. It's a sin to tell a lie,
Oh, okay.
etc.
In the presence of a married woman, lean not on thine elbow, and mingle not strong drink with her. Okay, so don't drink with her. And I'm guessing
Recline
leaning,
not at table.
Okay, so I'm guessing that was like is that supposed to be a seductive thing?
It says dining with another man's wife is seen as a
Hey, Ruben. I am leaning on this table. My elbow is right here.
sexual assault.
How you doing?
No.
Yeah, no. I'm not going to spray you in the eyes.
You've ruined it. Put it back.
With the behold.
Better, thank you.
But no, it says dining with another man's wife is seen as a possible prelude to adultery for which a husband seeks revenge in blood.
Of course. Yeah, lest thou incline thine heart unto her, and in thy blood goest down to the pit. And then this, oh boy, this is going to be good probably.
Yeah.
This next section is titled Intercourse with Men.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be a great section.
Yep.
It's not what you think.
Okay.
No, it's this thing where these men, they talk about intercourse together. It's not gay at all.
Forsake not an old friend, for a new one is not like him. The old friends are never like the new. New wine is a new friend, and when it is old, then thou drinkest it. Okay, so gotta let your friends age.
Oh,
Like you have to be longtime friends, and then they're better friends, I suppose.
I guess in 910.
As far as I'm
Sirach-
concerned, both of you two have gotten worse and worse.
Oof, that's okay. You've gone beyond the point of no return.
Yeah, I know.
In 910, Sirach returns to friends, a subject already treated in 6:5 through 17 and 7:18. Note that a new friend, like new wine, improves in time before he can be enjoyed fully, whence it is unwise to abandon old friends. Pre-Maccabean court intrigues may provide the background for his remarks on the danger of death in verse 13, which...
I'll get through to verse 13.
Yeah.
Envy not a godless man, for thou knowest not what this day will bring forth. Don't envy us. Just don't do it.
Don't.
Ben Sira says don't do it, don't do it.
Yeah.
Take no pleasure in the proud man who prospereth. Remember that until death he shall not go unpunished. You know, this is a little bit different than the we have plenty of stuff that we've seen about arrogance, right? And how it's bad to be arrogant.
Mm-hmm.
But also, when they're talking about prospering, I always forget because these two are so similar. In Proverbs, I think it was in Proverbs, where they're talking about hard work, and the thing is the rich ones are the ones that are wise.
Right, because, well, Proverbs, it's very agriculturally based.
Yeah.
Bias shifts, seriously, because, like, sometimes we have this glorification of rich, and sometimes we have this shitting on the rich.
Yeah.
And it shifts back and forth depending on not only the author or the context, but how the person is rich.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, even earlier in our reading today, they went over how being rich can corrupt good people.
Yeah.
Like, presumably, that may have been a reference to Saul, right?
Yeah, that is true. Be far from the man that hath power to kill, and fear not then the terrors of death. So that's the verse you were talking about there. But I'm going to finish off the actual verse.
Finish the verse.
And if thou drawest nigh to him, commit no fault, lest he take away thy life. Know that thou walkest in the midst of snares, and treadest among nets.
So, Eerdmans says, pre-Maccabean court intrigues may provide the background for his remarks on the danger of death in verse 13. Both Ptolemaic and Seleucid monarchs had the absolute right of life or death over their subjects. The book of Proverbs is full of advice against stepping among snares. Sirach
definitely uses that snare imagery a lot.
Mm-hmm. It's like caltrops.
Yeah.
Sirach here follows the imagery of the wisdom tradition. So this is...
directly building off of stuff like Proverbs.
Yeah.
All right. But yeah, the whole point of this is, if you're hanging out with these rich, powerful people, they could protect you, but also make sure you are very careful what you do around them because they also have the power to kill you.
Yeah, just don't go near them.
Yeah.
Is essentially the advice. Which, you know what? I'm gonna agree with that. I'm gonna say if there are people who have the legal ability to just murder you without being held accountable for their actions, like some groups of professionals out there, just don't engage.
James Bond, we're calling out you.
Yep. Just don't engage with them. Don't go anywhere near them. Why would you? Why would you put yourself in that situation?
Well, you know who has something to say about that?
A lot of people.
Ben Sira. As far as thou art able, take counsel with thy neighbor and converse with the wise. Let thy communing be with a man of understanding, and all they converse and all thy converse in the law of the Lord. So talk to your neighbors instead of these, powerful officials, and make sure they're wise.
Mm.
And when you're talking to them, make sure they have an understanding, and you apparently have to be talking about the Torah.
Mm.
So, you shouldn't like us, right? Because we're godless, and don't envy us.
Mm.
But I don't know if you want to call us wise or having understanding or not, but we are regular people, and we talk about the Torah.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
What verse?
I don't.
Did you
So
just
are
finish?
we very wise?
I mean, you're in college. I have a degree. I'm
Two of
also,
them.
yeah, I'm going into second college.
Good I am proud of you.
Oh, thanks.
In fact, I envy you.
Oh,
A godless man.
No, don't do it. You bastard. You broke the rules.
Oh, hold on. Let's talk about this with understanding.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, pay attention to wise people. There's like a continual association with the wise that is in, I assume, most wisdom literature.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yep.
Oh boy, that's what there is in there.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, this is definitely a very different intercourse with men than we were expecting.
Mm.
Uh,
This is how to deal with your friends and neighbors.
Yeah.
I just said how to talk with other dudes. I didn't say
Yeah.
it was gay.
Yeah.
Let upright men be partakers at thy table.
Well, now.
Yeah, now it's different. Yeah, and let
whoops.
and let the fear of God be thy boast.
Yes, be your glory. The last word of verse 16, lachmika, rhymes with the last word of verse 16a, rhymes with verse 16b. So,
Some nice plan words there.
yeah, it's lachmika and tiparteka.
Okay.
Yeah.
By the cunning-handed, a work of art is formed. So must a ruler over his people be wise in speech. So the ruler has to basically mold the place that he's ruling over.
Mm-hmm. It's the point of verse 17, of which
Be the change you want to see in the world.
yeah,
Other cliches and platitudes.
just as the deftness of skilled artisans is prized, so the wisdom of the sage is what makes him the ruler of his people. In contrast, the skilled sage is the person of railing speech, man of tongues, who is feared in the city.
Terrible in the city is the loud-tongued man, and hated is he that is hasty in speech. So basically just the unwise.
Indeed. And that is the end of chapter 9.
Yes, it is.
So there is a a little bit here in the reflection that I'd like to go over.
Yes.
So, modern sensibilities about sexual harassment have brought about an enormously complex situation. In such a context, the church can function as an agent of reconciliation, helping to maintain pressure on those who think the issue is trivial, and to encourage women and men to learn how to relate in a manner that guarantees dignity to both sexes. In coming to terms with the relationship between males and females, one does well to remember that Jesus' attitude towards women contrasted sharply with that of most others in the first century in both the Jewish and Greco-Roman world.
Yeah, so the reason I wrote damage control there is because, I mean, yeah, there's plenty of talk about, what Jesus thought in there. But this one just stands out because instead of being like a relation to Jesus specifically on the basis of some kind of textual history or tradition history, something like that, instead of on that basis, they're now saying like, yeah, this is horrible, but like, remember what Jesus said?
Yeah.
That's why it's so amusing to me.
Well, if you're enjoying the stream so far, give us a like, share it around.
Yeah, subscribe if you haven't, all that good stuff. And you know what? What came out this week?
What?
The canonization of First Enoch video.
Oh, yeah, it did, and I watched it. Good job. It was very fun.
Informational.
Yeah. Informational.
Never say that again.
Edufunctional.
Yeah, edufunctional.
Yep. Anyways,
let's we can hop into the next section here. Although I do have one thing to know before we hop into chapter 10.
Yep. Note it.
Chapter 10 introduces public officials. Poetic parallelism probably indicates that the persons mentioned in the two halves of verse 1 are the same: an intelligent magistrate. In pre-Maccabean Jerusalem, his remarks on an undisciplined king, in verse 3, would have been dangerous. He wrote only shortly before the Maccabean revolt. As also his statement that God, quote, will raise up the right leader for the time. But he covers himself by saying that, quote, human success is in the hand of the Lord. So it's very, that's kind of in contrast to Saul, right? Because Saul was raised, well, actually, I feel like God could have raised a better leader than Saul.
It would not have been too difficult.
Because like if God has that power, you would why wouldn't he use it then? Like, was he just not using it then to prove a point that they don't want a ruler?
Yeah, I mean, look, I was on his side there. I was like, no, you don't want a king. It's a bad idea. And Saul comes in and he goes crazy because he's just some random commoner that they found and decided he would become king. Like, this guy didn't have the background. He didn't have, like, the knowledge necessary to run a king. And he was chosen just by a dude who was just some religious dude.
Yeah,
like,
pretty much.
What does that person know about the intercity economics?
Did any of them really?
No.
At least until like David, because David was great. So like you can't really.
I mean, besides all the killing.
Yeah, besides all that, he was great.
Yeah, and the womanizing.
Yeah,
and
besides all that, he's great.
Yeah. Oh, his tens of thousands.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into chapter 10.
Yeah.
A wise magistrate lends stability to his people, and the government of a prudent person is well ordered. So there's a note on this. The value of good government leaders is the subject of 10:1 through 3. Proverbs 8:15 through 16 states that wisdom is what enables kings and princes to reign and lawgivers to establish justice.
True, we covered that.
Yes. The purpose of government is to provide security, law, and order to a people and land.
But let's just remember that there's a whole bunch of stuff about how they sometimes aren't very wise. It's not a really good test.
Yeah.
It's not a good control.
So it says only a wise magistrate can fulfill that purpose, which is why they have it start off here. As the people's judge, so are his ministers. As the head of a city, its inhabitants. A wanton king destroys his people, but a city grows through the sagacity of its princes.
It's sagacity.
Sagacity?
I think so.
It's probably etymologically related to sage.
I have no idea what it's etymologically related to.
Yeah. Well, so maybe, is this like a reference to any specific kings here? Because a wanton king destroys his people, but a city grows through the sagacity of its princes. So there definitely were a number of kings that brought their people down throughout the books that we covered. And if you want to see our review of those books, check out our Deuteronomistic history review.
Yeah, we do have that. That is a review that we have.
Yeah, but I'm not sure that this accurately describes any of them directly.
No, I don't think so.
Sovereignty over the earth is in the hand of God, who raises up on it the person for the time. Sovereignty over everyone is in the hand of God, who imparts his majesty to the ruler. So, although the kings have authority, they have majesty given to them by God, divine right of kings.
So here's something cool. Okay, so what was the direct verse after verse 3? Could you read that one more time?
Sovereignty over the earth is in the hand of God, who raises up on it the person for the time.
Okay.
Now that's an interesting free will situation.
It
right?
is, yeah, definitely.
All right, you're like, well, they have free will, but God decides what people are there at what time. So, like,
Well, maybe it's just referencing to the fact that he chooses some people, like God's chosen people.
Well, there is a note that I will hit on very shortly here, but so verses 4 and 5 are actually flipped in the Hebrew. They're in the wrong order in the Hebrew, according to this guy. So mine, after verse 3, it comes, in the hand of God is the dominion of every man, and in the sight of a ruler doth he set his majesty. And then it continues, in the hand of God is the dominion of the world, and he placeth over it the right man.
all right.
So they're very, very similar verses.
I've got a note on these verses too.
Good.
Verses 4 and 5, Ben Sira states a theological datum found in the Old Testament and New Testament. Sovereignty over the earth and all humankind belongs to God alone, who delegates it to the ruler of his choice. This is found in Daniel and a bunch of verses.
And that goes along with what I was saying.
Yeah. Wisdom of Solomon and Luke. God raises up the ruler who is best suited for the time. See, for example, King Cyrus in Isaiah 44:28 through 45:3, and Jehu, 2 Kings 9:1 through 10. Both the Ptolemaic and Seleucid kings generally considered themselves to be gods. Such blasphemous arrogance is totally wrong, says Ben Sira, for the ruler who is raised up by God is a mere human being. The majesty, splendor, or dignity of the ruler is a gift from the King of Kings. Ben Sira's allusions to the pagan kings are sufficiently veiled so as not to get him into trouble. That's an interesting reading of it.
So of course this was before the Maccabean revolts.
Yes.
And this was probably before the ascension of Antiochus IV. Because otherwise this would be weird. setting the right man over them. And then here comes along Antiochus the Fourth.
But, if God has dominion over the whole world and all people, then aren't Antiochus the Fourth and all
Yes.
of them, they're
Pharaoh.
also placed there during the right time by
Yeah.
God.
Yes.
And that's why God could harden his heart, because he was one of God's chosen leaders. He had direct influence over him, and this is the time where he violates free will. They're explaining that right now.
Yeah. So, like, all kings would have to be chosen by God and put there specific
Good or evil.
good or evil.
Right, and that might be, his
Well,
one violation of free will. Here it is.
Here's an maybe this will help a little bit for understanding this. So Ben Sira could not have foreseen any of this relating to the stuff with Antiochus and the Maccabean revolts. Perhaps one could view Ben Sira's remarks as applicable only to Judah, for Eres, land, can have this restricted meaning. But the sages usually cast their nets much more widely than this reading allows. He appears to have framed his statement with thought only of the relative freedom enjoyed by Jerusalem under the Ptolemies. That would make sense.
All right. No matter what the wrong, do your neighbor no harm, and do not walk the path of arrogance. Odious to the Lord and to humans is arrogance. And
Oh, wait, hold on. There was actually something super interesting on sovereignty,
okay.
but that was this actually tell me when you get done with verse 8 because it plays off of it.
Odious to the Lord and to humans is arrogance, and both see oppression as a crime. Dominion is transferred from one people to another because of the violence of the arrogant. That was verse 8.
Okay, so yeah, the arrogance, injustice, and insolence of 10:6 through 8 start on the personal level, but by verse 8 become the reason for sovereignty, passing from nation to nation. This may well refer to the battles of Raphia and Panium, both fought in Sirach's lifetime. At Raphia in 217 BCE, the Seleucid Antiochus III tried to retrieve Palestine from Egypt but was defeated. Panium in 198 BCE, Antiochus attacked the Egyptian army successfully, and Palestine became part of the Seleucid Empire. The close connection between verses 8 and 9...
Why are dust and ashes proud? Even during life the human body decays.
between verses 8 and 9 means that the decay of dust and ashes refers to the disasters befalling Ptolemaic and Seleucid kings, both of whom claimed divinity but were dust and ashes like other humans.
You know what that reminds me of? There's that bit in Second Maccabees where the person's put to death
Yeah.
by being drowned in
In a silo
Yeah.
filled with
silo
ash.
filled with ash.
Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty hardcore. Why are dust and ashes proud? Maybe because they can successfully kill people. But yeah, obviously, and all human beings in accordance with the theology are from dust. Right? So why are dust and ashes proud? Right.
Well, or what they will effectively become.
Right. But even then, you are still like made of dust and
Yeah.
ashes.
Well, yeah.
Right.
But I don't think they would have.
Mm.
I don't know if they would have interpreted it that way if you were still living.
Be an alliteration, basically.
Well, they still have the ruach,
Yeah.
the breath of God.
Mm-hmm.
A slight illness, the doctor jests. A king today, tomorrow he is dead. When
So similarly, from what we were just talking about,
yeah.
similarly, the remark about someone who became ill and died promptly, either because the physician did not recognize its seriousness in the Greek text, or because he was helpless to stop its progress, the Hebrew, does not necessarily relate to a specific instance in Ben Sira's memory. So it's not a direct historical thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got a no in there.
Yeah, pretty
but
much the idea of this section is today's king is tomorrow's corpse, which is really reminiscent.
Not a good T-shirt.
Do you guys remember what MM's phrase was? Today's religions, tomorrow's myths.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Reminded me
I
of that.
missed that. I wish they did stuff like that still. It was a nice tandem.
Anything that was about.
It's gone.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm going to finish verse 11 and then read this note. When a person dies, he inherits corruption, worms and gnats and maggots. So, that was verse 11. Let's talk about this. Verses 9 through 11 probably refer to another event in Ben Sira's lifetime, the sudden death of Ptolemy IV in 203 BC, after a life of debauchery. Smend writes that according to Dio Cassius and Trogus, Ptolemy died a horrible and painful death. In verse 9a, the colorful phrase dust and ashes, which occurs again in 1732, only in the Greek and Syriac, not Hebrew, and 40, verse 3, derives from Genesis 18:27, a text in which Abraham uses the words to describe his lowly condition when he haggles with the Lord in an attempt to save Sodom.
Yes, every vestige of pride becomes ludicrous in the light of human makeup, dust and ashes. Apar wa eper. And then, there's the reference there to Genesis 18:27.
Yes. In verse 9b, the Hebrew verb to rot, literally to become wormy, is found only once in the MT. In Exodus,
I hope you become wormy.
Yeah. Okay. Exodus 16:20, where it's used
Go
to
commit,
describe
be wormy.
Yeah. what happened to the manna that was kept overnight, contrary to Moses' instructions. The noun gyuyo, the human body, means literally his insides, intestines, as Greeks understood the word. The first phrase of verse 10a may be translated literally a whisper of disease. The meaning of verse 10, however, seems clear. What on one day is simply a report of the king's illness about which the physician is not worried, terminates the next day in the death of the patient. Verse 11 amplifies what Ben Sira states briefly in 7:17b, where the noun rima, corruption, worms, also occurs. Though the language is elusive to protect himself from the pagan overlords, Ben Sira's graphical description of human frailty, impermanence, and corruptibility in 9 through 11 was probably meant as a stinging and grim diatribe against the Ptolemaic and Seleucid kings, who claimed to be gods on earth and masters of the world. So, I'll continue then.
Mm-hmm.
The beginning of pride is human effrontery in withdrawing one's heart from one's maker. For sin is the reservoir of pride, a source which runs over with vice. Because of it, God sends unheard of affliction and strikes humans with utter ruin. The thrones of the arrogant God overturns and enthrones the humble in their stead.
Except for those times that he takes the evil ones and replaces them with evil ones.
Or takes good ones and replaces them with evil ones.
Also, yes.
Or
just makes the evil ones more evil.
Yeah.
Also, yes.
All of these have happened in the Bible. The roots of the proud God plucks up to plant the lowly in their place.
Mm-hmm. Whatever you say.
The last traces of the proud God sweeps away and digs out their roots from the subsoil. He plucks them from the earth and roots them out and effaces the memory of them from among men. So that's like the Amalekites.
Yeah, and that's also like all the times when there were evil kings and God was like, he lets them live, but he destroys their seed, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, like I
Their
said,
descendants.
Amalekite lives matter.
Yep.
Insolence is not allotted to a human, nor impudent anger to one born of woman. Whose offspring can be in honor? Human offspring. Which offspring are in honor? Those who fear God. Whose offspring can be in disgrace? Human offspring. Which offspring are in disgrace? Those who transgress the commandment.
So there's a lot here. This is really weird. I'm sure there's going to be some textual notes for this, because this entire section, from 19 through 22 is actually kind of strange. So verses 19 through 22 employ a rhetorical device, catechetical instruction, that became popular in later times, both in Jewish pedagogy and in the Christian church. The simple question, whose offspring are worthy of honor, is matched by its opposite, and the first answer fits both questions. Human beings deserve both honor and dishonor. The device permits the teacher to contrast the two types, rebels and God-fearers, because those are the only two people there are. Mm-hmm. Social status actually means nothing where honor is concerned.
All right. Among kindred, their leader is in honor. Such, in God's sight, is the one who fears him. Be it a sojourner, wayfarer, alien, or pauper, his glory is the fear of the Lord. It is not just to despise a person who is wise but poor, nor proper to honor any oppressor. The prince, the judge, the ruler are in honor, but none is greater than whoever fears God. I guess other than God.
Mm-hmm. God's afraid of himself.
Yeah. When the free serve a prudent slave, the wise person doesn't complain. Prate not of wisdom in doing as you please, and boast not in your time of need. Better the worker who has goods in plenty than the boaster who is without sustenance. My son, with humility have self-esteem. Prize yourself as you deserve. Who will acquit whoever condemns himself? Who will honor whoever discredits himself? The poor is honored for his wisdom, as the rich is honored for his wealth. Honored in poverty, how much more so in wealth? Dishonored in wealth, in poverty, how much the more?
That's a very weird, weird wording.
But the idea, obviously, is that, look, if you're good and you have money, then that's great. But, if you don't have money, that's still all right. But if you're an idiot and you got a whole bunch of money, it doesn't help you all that much.
Because you're not wise.
Yeah, and it's even worse if you're dumb and you got no money.
Because if you got money, at least you have money.
But that stands in contrast to a different verse that I recall where it's better to be unwise and to have a slave. You remember that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, that was in Sirach.
Yeah, it was in Sirach.
Yeah.
Are you sure it wasn't in Proverbs?
I'm pretty
I'm pretty sure it was Sirach, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Which seems directly to contrast with this.
Yeah, but I'm going to take a shot in the dark and something about nuance that we haven't been told about.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's a good apologetic.
Yes,
Lawrence.
it is. Thank you.
Yeah.
I will now take a bow.
You'll also take over reading because that is the end of chapter 10.
Yes, it is. And I'm going to hand over this stuff to you because you deserve this stuff.
I deserve it?
Yeah, you do. You deserve to have it in your face where you can read it and quote it and, be so kind to the audience to read it and quote it. All right.
Woohoo.
Anyways, how about we hop into chapter 11.
Well, I would say yes, but I'd like to remind our viewers that we have a 666 donation drive going on right now.
That's true, we do.
Once we hit $666 in donations, we will be getting a Thetan meter like the Scientologists use. We will see who is the most clear among the Milwaukee Atheist team. Then we'll take apart that Thetan meter and try and show you how it works.
Yeah, we are about at $40 about.
Yep, we're at $40.
Yep.
So,
and of course,
all of your donations help.
Yeah, and once we can actually go and get stuff, the stuff we reliably need, we will be doing the alchemy thing because we said we'd do that and we're gonna do it.
Yep, and we're gonna have to do it probably outdoors so that we
don't die.
We don't die from mercury poison.
Yeah, whatever. Shit happens.
Yep.
Yeah. One day you're alive and the next day you die from mercury poisoning.
Yeah, one day.
All right. Chapter 11. The wisdom of the poor man lifteth up his head and causeth him to sit among princes. You can get places if you're wise.
Mm-hmm.
Praise no man for his beauty, and abhor no man unlovely in his appearance. Okay.
So to lift up the head in verse 1 occurs also in Genesis 40:13 and 2 Kings 25:27, in both of which text it means, in effect, to release from prison, to free. Thus, Ben Sira implies that the poor person's wisdom frees him from the apparent confinement of his economic conditions.
So is there something on verse 2? Because verse 2 was weird, but also for the lifting up their head. Do you think that has anything to do with the stiff-necked metaphor?
That's a good one. I don't know.
Because if you have a stiff neck, you won't lift up your head.
It's got to be... Well, I mean, they're both body parts.
Well, they are, but I'm just saying because I don't know if there's a direct relation. There could be.
No, it doesn't really say anything
fair
about
enough.
that.
Fair enough. All right. Anyways, yeah, so praise no man for his beauty, and abhor no man unlovely in his appearance. So if they're ugly, you don't hate them, but also don't love them if they're hot. Okay.
Yes, external appearances can be misleading, as Yahweh taught Samuel when the latter chose Eliab, 1 Samuel 16:6-7. Wisdom, which resides within a person, is all that really matters.
Oh, yeah. Wasn't it Samuel that was described as, really tall and attractive? Or was that somebody else?
David.
Probably David.
Was it David?
Definitely.
No,
David
I think it was Samuel, wasn't it?
They've done it more than once, man.
They've done it more than once.
Okay.
They didn't say Moses was the best looking dude ever. They said basically nothing about him.
They said he was bad at talking.
Yeah. They needed his brother around to do that for him.
A thing of naught is the bee among flying creatures, yet chief among products in her fruit. Okay, so not the best flyer, but makes a great thing for being so small.
Oh, hold on. I've got something. The similarity between the teaching in verse 2 and the biblical story about Yahweh's selection of David to rule over Israel instead of Saul, 1 Samuel 16:6-13, does not necessarily indicate that Ben Sira had that incident in mind. Remarkably, the account of David's anointing takes pains to add, now he was ruddy and had beautiful eyes and was handsome. 1 Samuel 16:12.
But I remember one of those guys were described as being tall, specifically.
I don't see that. It does say, after having discounted external appearance on the basis of the Lord's penetrating sight, 1 Samuel 16:7, perhaps the narrator merely acknowledged a natural preference among human beings for attractive features. Ben Sira tries to overcome this tendency.
It's called the halo effect, and he's not wrong. People who are more attractive are treated with higher preference. It's 100% true.
Everybody knows that,
yeah,
too.
we do. The thing is,
everybody
you don't need
has observed that.
and you don't need wisdom literature to tell you that.
Right.
I don't know. If you're running 80 IQ, maybe some guy should tell you that.
Hey, maybe.
Him that is clothed in mourning, mock not, nor despise those whose days are sorrowful. For wondrous are the works of the Lord, and hidden from men are his acts. So this one was really interesting to me because it reminded me of, like the Book of Life and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
These writings that will be uncovered later. So it was just interesting to me.
What's your verse 5?
Oh, I haven't read verse 5 yet.
Oh.
Would you like me to?
Yeah, did you just finish verse 4?
Yeah. Many oppressed have sat on a throne, and those never thought of have worn a crown.
Okay. Verse 5a may be translated literally. Many oppressed have sat on a throne. And Isaiah...
Well, you know what? They did a good job, this guy, Australia.
Yeah.
Who translated it literally.
Yeah. In Isaiah 57:15, Yahweh says, "On high I dwell, and in holiness, and with the crushed and dejected in spirit, to revive the spirits of the dejected, to revive the hearts of the crushed." Verse 5b is in parallelism with verse 5a, for the sentiment expressed in verse 5 and 6. See also 1 Samuel 2:7-8, Psalms 113, 7-8, and Luke 152.
It's nice that we have another commentary, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Many exalted have been brought very low, and have been altogether abashed. Ye those who were honored have been delivered up. So an example of, in verse 6a there, many exalted have been brought very low. I'm guessing it would be, remember when David had to go into hiding? And then he pretended not to be who he was?
There's a little bit here. In verse 6, there's a sharp contrast between many exalted ones and the little ones, and between have been dishonored and the honored. In fact, these words are an ABBA pattern to highlight the antithesis. Many exalted ones have been dishonored, the honored, the little ones. This verse, the last of the poem, contains the same two verbs found in the opening verse, forming an inclusio in an ABBA chiastic pattern.
Classic.
Honored, dishonored, dishonored, honored. Also, the last word of the poem, zerim, the little ones, contains the same three consonants, but in a different order as the first word in verse 19, seed, thus forming a second inclusio. The enigmatic remark about a concealed divine works.
Yeah, that's the one that I was talking about before.
Yeah. Probably plays on an epithet for Yahweh, the worker of wonders. Exodus 15:11, Psalms 77:14, Judges 13:9. The reference may be to God's activity in human lives, the exalting of the lowly and humbling of the proud, rather than the works of creation, which are for the most part gloriously manifest. In the ancient world, the deity or deities who are said to be responsible for everything, whether good or evil, Ben Sira accepts this belief without expressing the slightest reservation, though this is going to occur in verse 14.
Yeah, so we'll get there. Anyways, before thou hast examined, reject not. Consider first, and then rebuke. My son, answer nothing before thou hast heard, and in the midst of a discourse speak not. In that which concerns thee not enter it, and in the strife of the overbearing meddle not.
In what is not your quarrel, do not become angry.
Yeah, so if it doesn't have to do with you, stay out of it.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Mind your own business,
Yeah.
essentially. Which, hey, I'm not going to fault him for that.
I mean, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. Because if you like see someone getting like severely hurt, and you're like right there, you're like just gonna whistle and walk away, and then you're like, then the dude getting beaten up is like, you're kind of a shitbag.
Isn't it the dude beating him up who's more of a shitbag?
Also, yes.
I'm not saying the other guy couldn't have helped, but people are scared. They just leave.
Yeah, that's accurate.
So the same idea, a similar idea, is found in Pirk Abath.
Yes, that's the thing we were talking about earlier.
Yes, verse 10. 7 things are in a clod and 7 in a wise man. The wise man does not interrupt the words of his companion and is not hasty to reply. The one who keeps this maxim in verse 9a, have you read?
Yeah, that was
Will enjoy a more serene and pleasant life than the fool who ignores it.
Yeah, that was the verse about not saying anything and like while you're in the middle of like don't interrupt basically.
Mm. And then we enter into another poem with my son.
Ah, fantastic.
Verse 10.
My son, wherefore dost thou multiply thy business? He that hasteneth to increase riches shall not go unpunished. My son, if thou runnest, thou wilt not attain, and thou wilt seek, and thou seek, thou wilt not find. So, if you're rushing to success, you're not going to succeed.
Mm.
One toileth and laboreth and runneth and is so much the more behind.
One may toil and struggle and drive and fall short all the same.
Yeah. Another is broken down, wandering in misery, poor in vigor, and abounding in misfortune. But the eye of the Lord looketh upon him for good, and he shaketh him up out of the stinking dust. He lifteth up his head and exalteth him, and many marvel at him. You know, that is not true for most people.
No. Not even close.
Even if they're very good and God-fearing.
Yeah.
But maybe after death. Maybe he's waiting for the right time. Good and evil, life and death, poverty and wealth are from the Lord. And that's the thing you were noting, that he brings both the good and the evil.
Which, of course, we see in, what was it, Isaiah 45, verse 7?
I forget.
I think it's 45, verse 7, where he's
Either
like,
way, we
I
haven't
create the light and the darkness.
Yeah, but we'll get there. We'll definitely get there. Actually, you have a commentary on that too.
Yeah.
We have a whole bunch of commentaries on it actually. So, wisdom and insight and discerning of things are from the Lord. Sin and upright paths are from the Lord. Foolishness and darkness were created for sinners. And as for the wicked, evil is with them. The gift of the Lord abideth for the righteous lastingly, and his good pleasure prospereth continually.
So they broke that up a little differently. Verses 15 and 16 are placed after verse 17. It goes 14, 17, 15, 16.
Oh, yeah, and here's the note here. Verses 15 and 16 are in all probability not part of the original text, according to Osterley.
Okay, that explains it.
Yeah. One waxeth rich through self-denial and mortgageth his reward. I've never heard mortgageth before.
I mean, we know what it means.
Yeah, but we've never seen that word or even thought it would be a word ever.
Yeah. We mortgageth it.
Yeah. Well, all right then. When he saith, I have found rest, and now will I eat of my goods. He knoweth not what the day will bring forth. He leaveth them to another and dieth.
Ugh.
Aw, so sad.
So sad.
My son, stick to thy task, and take pleasure therein, and grow old in thy work. Be a cog in a machine.
Yep.
Do the same thing you've always done, and don't try anything new ever.
Perform your labor. Do not do anything else.
I could see that as a great metaphor for farming and farm growth. You might not get anything
it
out of
fits in
it,
there.
but if you eat all the food you make, if you don't hold on to your investment,
You survive.
you might survive.
Well, yeah.
Somebody could just take it from you. That's the other
Yeah,
thing.
someone could.
Just as
You're right.
this is just normal morals.
Marvel not at the ways of the wicked. Trust in the Lord and wait for his light. For it is a light thing in the eyes of the Lord.
It's easy.
Yeah. Suddenly, in a moment, to enrich the poor. But yet,
I don't
And
think he
yet.
does that very often,
no. Sorry, Ben
Oh.
Sira.
I can't think of a specific instance thus far where he went suddenly, you know what, all of the poor, here is money or whatever equivalent wealth.
There
enjoy.
have been times where, or there also will be times where, through some sort of miracle act, a whole bunch of people now have a bunch of food or something.
Mhm.
But it's really not the same.
But God doesn't make shekels rain all day in the poor side of town.
Where the hell was I?
You were-
Something about raining shekels. And the blessing of the Lord is the portion of the righteous, and in due time his hope shall flourish. That's very Levitical.
Yeah, it's actually the God's blessing is the lot of the just. It says in verse 22a, the expression the lot, also allotted portion of the just, finds an echo in Daniel 12:13. You will rise from your allotted portion at the end of days. The just or righteous live not only by faith, but also by hope, a hope that bears fruit later on.
Wasn't there a verse in Enoch about the righteous getting their lot?
Yeah, I'm sure. How many times has
I-
that been part of the fulfillment?
A lot, but a lot. I feel like it was in there, but I don't remember the exact verse.
I also think it was.
Say not, what profit is it that I have done my work, and what is now left for me to do? Say not, I have sufficient. What harm will henceforth happen unto me?
It says, say not, I am self-sufficient.
That makes way more sense. I have sufficient. Okay. Weird one. The joy of today maketh misfortune to be forgotten, and the misfortune of today maketh joy to be forgotten. Okay, so like when one outweighs the other.
Mhm.
For it is easy in the sight of the Lord in the day of death to requite a man according to his ways. In evil time maketh delights to be forgotten, and the last end of a man shall declare concerning him. So like that's the last thing. You could be evil until that last moment,
Mhm.
but that last moment matters.
Yes.
Good old repentance and deathbed conversions. Anyways, in evil time maketh delights to be forgotten, and the last end of a man shall declare concerning him. Before death call no man happy, for in his latter end a man is known.
Yeah, for by how he ends, a
Yeah.
person is known. So verses 26 through 28 pose a puzzle. As Sirach did not believe in life after death, the Greek version of verse 28, through his children a person becomes known, seems to fit Sirach's beliefs better.
Interesting.
But as the main NRSV text reads, it means that a person's character is known by how he dies.
Yeah. Not every man should be brought into one's house, for how many are the strokes of the slanderer? Strokes. As a decoy bird in a cage, so is the heart of the insolent.
Like a caged hunting falcon.
And as a spy that looketh out for an undefended point. So
they've
the decoy bird
them.
Or there should be some explanation of the metaphor of the decoy bird, because you can't say they really dehumanize them, because they also have a spy.
Mm-hmm. Well, okay, this is verse 30.
Yes, verse 30. I'm pretty sure there is some commentary in one of these.
There wasn't.
Really?
Mm-hmm. The image in 30a is powerful, suggesting that, at least I didn't see it, suggesting that the scoundrel is on the watch for hapless prey. For similar imagery, see Jeremiah 5:26-27. Ben Sira changes the metaphor in verse 30b, comparing the scoundrel to a spy on the lookout for weak spots or defects, language borrowed from Genesis 42:9 and 12.
Okay, so there is actually in here, but it's my fault that I didn't note it. The first picture comes from a hunter's practice of placing a bird in a cage to lure other birds into it. The cage has a special entrance that opens from below. Once another bird has entered the enclosed place, it cannot spring the door from above and is thus trapped. Ben Sira likens the proud to a decoy bird attracting the attention of its victims. Perhaps also to the hunter who watches from a hiding place until its prey has entered the cage. As if this, and there is a section that I did note in here, 1132, but I'm going to finish with that verse, and then you can read that section, because this one's actually super interesting. The backbiter turneth good to evil, and against the best that is in thee he speaketh ill.
The backbiter?
Yeah, the
tail
backbiter.
bearer. But didn't Johnny Cash use that line?
Yeah.
Yeah. Backbiter.
Yeah, he did. From a spark burning coals increase, and a man of Belial waiteth for blood. So Belial, there's a lot of stuff to talk about.
A worthless person in some translations.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
But this is a ne'er-do-well in the Anchor Bible.
Ooh.
So Belial. And that is verse 32b.
Yes, 32b.
It says, if this image of vulnerability were not sufficient, Ben Sira observes that a single spark ignites coals.
Mm-hmm.
An ancient proverb warned against underestimating a little fire, a tiny rumor, a small soldier. Experience had taught society that some small things did enormous harm. A worthless person lurks in the shadows to shed blood. So lie in wait and ambush. The expression Is Belial is unique in Sirach, but occurs elsewhere. In Job 38:18, in Proverbs 6:12, and 16:27, 19:28. The application of these images to the problem at hand, inviting strangers into one's home, uses a wordplay for stranger, zahir, or zar.
Shrink from an evil man, for he bringeth forth evil. Why bring a lasting blemish upon thyself? Cling not to a godless man, lest he overturn thy way and turn thee from thy covenants. Well, you heard it here first. You shouldn't be listening to us. We will turn you away from your covenants. We might. There's a chance that we'll get you to the scary, godless people.
So don't even talk with people who disagree with you. Just have... The image of the
it
wise
says
people.
cling not.
Yeah.
So don't follow them.
But that essentially means that you should enter into conversation with them already with the conclusion that you're not going to follow what they say or listen to, I mean, in a meaningful way.
Yeah.
Listen to what they're saying.
Yeah. Let a stranger dwell with thee, and he will estrange thy ways, and he will alienate thee from thy home. That is very reminiscent of, I mean, that's the end of the chapter, by the way, but that is very reminiscent of, wasn't it Peor, right? In Numbers, where the women were from a different nation.
And they managed to do something and get in on the taxes.
No, every guy that married them was like straying away from that religion.
Yeah, that's exactly that.
There's another thing that they bring up, Ezra and Nehemiah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Ezra and Nehemiah. Yeah, all that stuff about intermarriage.
All
Yeah, the phrasing in the Anchor Bible, I think, is a little better. It says, lodge a stranger with you, and he will subvert your course and make a stranger of you to your own household.
Yeah, makes sense.
So
there's a lot of stranger talk in wisdom literature.
Mm-hmm. I guess because it's advising you how to deal with foreigners.
Damn foreigners.
Gerbs. Those Amalekites coming for gerbs. Well, that's the end.
Yeah, that's the end of the reading for today.
And here's Ben Sira's beautiful face.
It looks so good. Just look at him.
Yep.
Look at his fantastic teeth and his
great.
Well-kept hair and beard.
Yep.
He's there looking.
Love that open mouth, toothy smile. Oh, it's not at all disturbing.
This is Lawrence in another 40 years.
Thank you. I always thought I'd look more like Aaron.
No, you're too skinny
Sirach.
for that shit.
Fair enough.
I mean, nothing against Aaron. I got nothing against Aaron for his weight, but I think your metabolism isn't gonna get to that point.
I don't know.
I mean, as long as you keep on eating a Russian diet of nothing.
Nothing or potato.
Yep. Vodka.
Borscht.
Pickle juice. Not pickles, though. Just the juice.
Yeah, I like
vinegar.
the juice.
Straight vinegar.
Love it.
Well,
Yeah.
I hope everyone's enjoyed the show today. We covered 4 chapters of Sirach.
Yes, we did.
But we also have a shitload of other videos out there.
Including the one I just posted this week, the canonization of First Enoch in the Ethiopian church.
And if you think that you'd like to give us money so that you can feel like you're getting content for your money, even though we're producing the content anyway, you can donate to us on Patreon.
Yeah, you can get video scripts. You can get entered into the t-shirt giveaways that we have every month.
If you want to help us feel like we can make money, you can help.
Yeah. For $50 a month, you could be on this show or on our Sunday show.
Yeah.
Or on the upcoming Saturday show.
Yep.
Where we're going to be doing the Quran.
Yes, what was the name for that again?
Oh, Public Islamic Studies Saturdays.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hopefully that all fits into the description. I think it will.
Hopefully it doesn't piss off too many people.
Ha! Ha! Classic joke.
Indeed.
Wordplay. Fantastic.
And I might as well be a psalmist.
Acronyms. We got them.
Yep. Which, by the way, is another Psalms thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Acrostics. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see what else we got. We also have Teespring if you don't want to give us money every month. I mean, hey, why not get yourself a shirt? You get a shirt, and having a shirt is fun because you all need shirts.
Yep, we got plenty of shirts out there for you, so your memes don't have to just be dreams.
You could get a shirt.
Yep.
And then we have our Amazon wish list. Link is in the description.
Yeah, if you want to have us get more books like this and
Like
this,
like all these
on the table, so that we have more to go over when we're talking.
We have a bookshelf that's waiting for them.
That's true.
After we're done using them, so as to have them as a convenient reference right by our studies.
Yeah, it'd be fantastic because my bookshelf it can no longer hold any more books.
Wow, you need more bookshelves.
I completely agree.
I have like 6.
What? What are they all filled with books?
Some of them books. I mean, I got a couple of shelves that are empty. I mean, I got all the Quran stuff. I have space for all the Quran stuff,
Sure.
Which we wouldn't be leaving here because it won't be useful after the Quran show.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's about it.
Facebook and Twitter, free to follow us on there.
Yep, and don't go to MilwaukeeAtheist.com. But do email us at MilwaukeeAtheists@gmail.com.
For whatever.
For all of your fan mail. If you want to send in love letters.
Oh, yes, fan art. I like fan art.
Fan art. The Lawrence diss track,
Oh, yeah,
which we have yet to get a single Lawrence diss track submission. But if you want to leave a scathing diss against this Russian Jewish atheist. By the way, I hate the term Jewish atheist because of its implication of Jews being a race. But if you want to send in your disses for Lawrence, then go ahead, do it. We'll listen to it.
Please send a Lawrence diss track.
Yep.
I would very much enjoy that.
Yep. Anyways,
maybe it'll hurt me so bad you feel good about yourself. Anyways,
we'll tell you if he cries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, we will see you on Sunday. Also next week, Friday.
Yeah.